let me ask you something straight. Why does it bother you so much when a young Filipina chooses an older Western man with money? Because let's stop pretending for a second. If your stomach was hungry and somebody offered you security, food on the table, new clothes for your kids, rides instead of jeepneys, restaurants instead of instant noodles, you'll make the same decision too. So where's the anger actually coming from? Because I see it here in the Philippines all the time. Local men get mad, local women get mad as well. People start saying she's too young. They say she's only dating him for money. They try to shame her out of the relationship. But what they don't say out loud is this. She chose stability. She chose comfort. She chose opportunity. And if they had the same chance, most of them would do the exact same thing. So why does it bother you so much when she does it? Because once you really look at who gets upset in these relationships, you start realizing something real fast. This isn't about morality. It's about jealousy. But here's what nobody tells you. Most of the people throwing shade at these relationships, they're miserable themselves. Now, seriously, why are you invested in what two grown adults are doing when they're not paying your bills, they're not feeding your family, they're not changing your life at all? So let's talk about who's actually getting mad. Start with local men. You show up here as a Western man with money, and suddenly some of the most beautiful women here have another option. Now the same guys that wanted her are calling her a hunter, calling her fake, saying she's only there for the money. No, good buddy. She chose stability. She chose opportunity. And the truth is simple. Your pockets were too low. Spend less time worrying about who she's with and more time building your own situation. And maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't be watching her walk away. These women aren't stupid. They know exactly what a Western man's resources can do. Now let's talk about local women nobody mentions. Older women especially. Because when a man flies clear across the world for a relationship, he's not coming here looking for someone older. He's coming here looking for youth. He's coming here looking for beauty, a different life than the one he already had back home. So attention shifts, opportunity shifts, and that makes people uncomfortable. Now let's talk about the West. Western women get mad too. Not all of them, but enough of them. Because attention matters, security matters, money matters. And when those things shift somewhere else, people react. And then there's some Western men. The loudest one's always online. 40 years old, still in his mom's basement, typing essays about why your relationship is wrong, while you're outside smiling next to a young, beautiful woman. But what they don't tell you is this. If they had the chance, they'd do the exact same thing. So when you step back and really look at who's reacting the strongest to these relationships, you start seeing where this actually is. It's not about age. It's not about morality. It's about access. Now let's talk about the part people avoid completely. Why some of these women actually make this choice in the first place. Because if you spent any real time here in the Philippines, you already know what I'm about to say. A lot of these women are single moms. And I'm not talking about theory. I'm talking about what you see walking around every day. You ask where the father is. He's gone. No support. No help. Sometimes not even a name. And now she's raising that child by herself. So if she's choosing a partner, she's not choosing for fun. She's choosing for survival. Who's putting shoes on her kids' feet? Who's paying rent? Who's making sure the food's on the table? Who's taking care of the future? Because when you live in a country where millions of families are still below the poverty line and millions more feel even poor while working every day, security matters, stability matters, opportunity matters. And when a Western man shows up with these things already in place, that changes everything. Now people watching from the outside say, why is she choosing that older guy? Easy answer. Because she's choosing stability. She's choosing a future for her child. She's choosing a different life than the one she already had. And if you had the same choice sitting in front of you, hungry or stable, struggling or supported, Jeepneys or air-conditioned rides, instant noodles or Jollibee for your kids, which one are you picking? Because once you understand what daily life actually looks like for a lot of families here, those relationships stop looking strange and they start looking logical. So after you understand why some of these women are making these choices, the next question becomes simple. Why are people still trying to stop them? Because this is where labels start showing up. You hear people say things like undesirable. I want you to think about that word for a second. A man who has the resources to fly across the world, live in another country, take care of a woman and her family doesn't sound undesirable to me. That sounds like opportunity, but they still use the word. Then you hear another one, hunter. They say she's hunting him. They say she's only there for money. They say she's too young. They say he's too old. Bottom line, they're both adults. So who exactly asked for your approval? Because once you start paying attention to the language used around these relationships, you realize something fast. These labels aren't about protecting anyone. They're about trying to shame people back into staying where they are, back into the same limits, back into the same life. And the truth is simple. If these relationships weren't changing anything, nobody would even be talking about it. So when you step back and look at all this together, you start realizing what's really happening here. These relationships show something a lot of people don't want other men to see. They show there's other options. They show you don't have to stay stuck somewhere being disrespected. They show you don't have to accept the situation you were born into. They show a man can change his life, and they show a woman can change hers too. That's what really bothers people. Because if you allow someone else's opinion to talk you out of a better future, that's not their problem. That's yours. Words don't hurt, but empty stomach hurts. Broke pockets hurts. Working your hands down to the bone every day just to stay on the same hamster wheel hurts. So when people get angry watching somebody step into a different life, it's not because the relationship is wrong. It's because it proves something they don't want to admit. There are other choices out there. This is Asia Uncovered, where the truth hits harder than the fantasy you came here chasing.